and he laid it on the table. No one can read 'em like old John. Read 'em, let me go. Now read 'em, John. Read 'em. Read 'em, John. Read 'em. Read 'em, John. Read 'em. Read 'em, let me go. Now read 'em, John. Read 'em. Read 'em, John. Read 'em. Read 'em, John. Read 'em. Read 'em, let me go. Now it's 1 by 1 and a 2 by 2 and a 3 by 3 and a 4 by 4. No one can read 'em like old John. Read 'em, let me go. Now read 'em, John. Read 'em. Read 'em, John. Read 'em. Read 'em, John. Read 'em. Read 'em, let me go. Now read 'em, Johnny. Read 'em. Read 'em, John. Read 'em. Read 'em, John. Read 'em. Read 'em, let me go.
Welcome, once again, my friends, to Press Monkey Media, where truth, activism, and bananas are our mission and goal. My name is Dustin Micheli, and I am your host for you, my fellow highly evolved primates. Today is November 23rd, 2018, Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, the most notorious shopping day of the year. Also, if you get a chance, check out the Primate Report on PressMonkeyMedia.com, where we go out on a limb and find the great news stories and try to share those stories with you on our Primate Report. So please grab a limb, and as we begin to sit and give you this Black Friday report. In Telesurenglish news, Mexico, over 200 immigrants are detained as Trump okays use of force. That's right, this report coming to you from Telesurenglish.net. Mexican authorities added that any immigrants found to be in violation of an immigration requirement, namely lacking proper documentation, will be repatriated to their home country. Mexican immigration agents have detained hundreds of Central American migrants on a fourth caravan, which was en route to the U.S.-Mexican border to seek asylum. Mexico's National Immigration Institute announced that 213 migrants were taken into custody and transferred to a processing center on Wednesday. The migrants, well held on highway between the Guatemalan border and the southern Mexican city of Tapachula. According to reports, some 186 migrants were from El Salvador, 16 from Guatemala, 10 from Honduras, and 1 from Nicaragua. The Mexican authorities added that any migrants found to be in violation of the immigration requirement, namely lacking proper documentation, will be repatriated to their home country. Additionally, President Trump, who refers to the caravan as a national emergency, has reportedly authorized border troops stationed at the U.S.-Mexican border to use lethal force against the migrants. There are a lot of criminals in the caravan, and we will stop them, Donald Trump tweeted late Wednesday. The presidential memo, according to Newsweek, declares that enhanced powers are aimed at preventing the entry of the migrant caravan that are camped out at the Mexican side of the border, authorizing U.S. troops to conduct crowd control, temporary detention, and cursory search, according to a CNN report. The Secretary, Kirsten Nielsen, said, "We will not allow our frontline personnel to be in harm's way." Spokesman Katie Waldman stated, "We will do everything we can to protect those who defend our nation's sovereignty and to secure the border. We appreciate the Department of Defense stepping in to assist the Department of Homeland Security as needed." President of Human Rights Michael Breen pushed back against the Trump edict, saying, This is legally dubious. Cabinet order creates confusion, undermines morale, and may very well lead to violence." Stephen Mime, a history professor at the University of Georgia, in a post explained the intricate technicalities of the U.S. President's new directive. The Posse Comitatus Act has a vexed history, one that makes it difficult to invoke. Moreover, loopholes have multiplied over the years. No one has ever been prosecuted for violating it, the professor stated on Bloomberg View. The Posse Comitatus Act restricts the use of military law for enforcement on U.S. soil. Mexico previously offered residency and other types of visas to some migrants from the caravan. The Mexican authorities also established a support program which has attracted hundreds of asylum applicants so far. On Wednesday, Mexican Interior Ministry said about 5,600 migrants from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador were camped in the cities Tijuana and Mexicali near the U.S. border. And that was all part of a Telesur English report, Telesurenglish.net. I recommend that you get on the internet and check that out when you get a chance. If you want to reread that story and go over it at all, I will say to this part of this I've mentioned in previous casts is due to our war on drugs and the situations politically sometimes that we've helped create, especially in places like Honduras. Things had not improved in places like Honduras and Guatemala, specifically due to our interaction with them on occasions. I would say that we have somewhat of an obligation here to some of the people because we've created the political conditions and some of the economic conditions that are stressing these people as much as we had with the people of Venezuela, with our sanctions and what have you. So, yeah, we definitely have a specific obligation here, but again, the people of Mexico are offering up asylum to as many of these people as it seems like they can. Contrary to some of the other reports, I've seen many people are able to apply for the asylum. I'm afraid that people are not going to get the asylum here that they're searching for. In fact, they're going to get a lot. It seems as though they're going to get a lot of aggression. It seems like they're going to get a lot of pushback. To me, the sentiment seems to be a little bit. It's disheartening, but it still seems to be an overwhelming sentiment of we don't want them coming here. And, there is a back and forth with that to some degree within the sociological body politic, but for the most part, there's a very strong sentiment of this is going to cause trouble for us. And I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment. What I would say, though, is it seems like you folks, if you can, might be able to make a better life of it and better go of it there in Mexico. I mean, part of me and my family's even tempted to do that. Mexico has changed a lot. It's become a different kind of place than it used to be. They legalized marijuana recently. They legalized the use of cannabis, this kind of following suit with our other neighbors to the north, Canada had done, which is going to change the dynamic of Mexico in a lot of ways, taking a little bit more, well, not a little bit, a lot more money away from the war on drugs and the drug cartels that tend to control the government officials and police there in Mexico and in South America. A big part of the corruption problem is the illegality aspect of it. Just like with our, just like back in the 40s and 30s and 20s, during the days when alcohol was illegal during alcohol prohibition here in the United States, it created the profiteering model and criminal element. It created the potential for those profits and potential for the exploitation to happen without any kind of market oversights or anything like that. So there's always that. I would recommend to the people of Mexico, and I'm very fond of the people of Mexico and South America, I would recommend that, if I were you, I would stay put. Try to make the best of it there. You have great farming there. You have great resources there. I know it seems like a good idea because seems like there's a lot of money here, but it's not being made by most of us. And there's many of us who are tempted to come and live a simple life down there in South America and Mexico, just because of the aggressive, xenophobic nature of the people here in the United States. The militia-minded and white-oriented sort of people here in the United States. And they're afraid. They're very scared. They're very people are always trying to take something from me, and you can kind of draw some correlations between that and what's happening in England with the Brexit thing. If it doesn't sound too familiar, a lot of the Brexit exit ordeal is really revolved around immigration and the elites basically whipping up sort of a frenzy of fear around immigrants, saying, well, now we know who the problem is. It's these immigrants coming to take your job, which should sound, pretty familiar to a lot of you here in the United States, especially any of you living here in the state of Colorado where I live. So again, my heart goes out to, and my mind goes out to those of South America and those in Mexico. They are having a difficult time. In Mexico, things are improving. The election of their new, sweeping new left-wing government seems to be taking hold. We'll see what they actually achieve. And see how much of a real difference a complete reversal in ideology politically will get them. Looks like so far it's at least getting them the potential to have recreational marijuana and cannabis and have that as not only something you can use but as an industry potentially. It helps a lot for the freedom aspect, and especially for the aspect of I believe the war on drugs is one of the most criminal wars and unjust wars. It's created more injustice than it's ever actually helped solve, and a lot of times it's created out of false intentions. It's that we've realized that many times it's created to prop up the securities industry and the for-profit model of our private prison industries. That being said, I would caution that we should probably think about and look towards the potential of another wave of migration coming this way in another couple of years from some places like Brazil. Places like Colombia are having massive movements and massive protests and things like that, so it seems like that they're apt to want to change things around them is more significant, and maybe their voices are a little bit more powerful there in that part of the of South America. The people in Brazil, however, have arguably elected one of the most fascist-minded presidents in modern history, and hire Bolsonaro. I would reckon that soon we'll start seeing the actual outcome of the actions of that government, and I would also hazard that the potential for another wave of immigration coming specifically from that country is really there. It's very possible. Just something to look out for and potentially think about.
In the Morelos Mountains, campesinos are planting their fields, where the ghost of Zapata rides a horse that can still outrun the wheel. High in the sky above and clear out of sight, we're the free Mexican Air Force flying tonight.
Welcome back to Press Monkey Media for truth, activism, and bananas. And now, our headline news. This story, via the Real News Network, realnews.com, Sears bankruptcy, engineered to benefit executives and stiff workers. Executives of Sears stand to gain up to $1 million in bonuses should Sears be liquidated, and $500,000 if it's restructured. Meanwhile, ordinary workers at Sears are being laid off without severance payments. Bill Black talks about how the U.S. bankruptcy law is rigged to favor executives. In other news from The Intercept and Glenn Greenwald, Trump's amoral Saudi statement is a pure expression of decades-old U.S. values and foreign policy orthodoxies. The article reads, Donald Trump on Tuesday issued a statement proclaiming that notwithstanding the anger towards Saudi Crown Prince over the gruesome murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, the United States intends to remain steadfast partner of Saudi Arabia to ensure the interests of our country, Israel, and all other partners in the region. To justify his decision, Trump cited the fact that Saudi Arabia is the largest oil-producing nation in the world and claimed that one of $450 billion in Saudi plan to spend with U.S. companies. Also, from ecowatch.com, Ireland joins France, Germany, and Bulgaria in banning fracking. And that rounds out Press Monkey Media's headline news.
Join us on justinform.com. That's JUST, the letter N, FORM.com. And check out pressmonkeymedia.com.